Hello, fellow Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Wasker. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we're talking about probably the last big film of the summer season, as well as the last MCU movie of the year, and that is The Fantastic Four: First Steps. This is a non-spoiler and spoiler discussion, so for anyone who has seen it, stick around through the whole video and walk along with us as we go through everything that we liked or disliked about the film. If you guys have not watched the film yet and do not want to get spoiled, watch the first half and then jump away and come back after you've seen Fantastic Four in theaters. Going into this, I think in terms of excitement, anticipation, I was probably a little more excited than Brian because I know Brian, and I'm in agreement with you, Brian. I am not the biggest Fantastic Four fan either. I think the 2000s films, I was fine with them both. I had no real issues with them. They were what they were. I thought Chris Evans was great as Human Torch. I liked Michael Chiklis as the Thing. Jessica Alba is fucking Jessica Alba. Obviously, the other Fantastic Four film is complete dog shit, even though it's got a great cast to it. It was just a horrible fucking, writing disaster. But Fantastic Four has never been a big, mover of the needle for me for anything superhero movies. So for them to come into the MCU, it was more of a casting thing on whether I'd be excited for it or not, more than just them coming into the MCU. Are you kind of in the same mindset?
Well, yeah, because I mean, for even in comic books, it's like the Fantastic Four was one of those where I'm like, they're considered like the Marvel's first family, and they're kind of the classic Marvel superheroes, and everyone holds them in this high esteem. And it's like, okay, maybe it was groundbreaking, maybe they were kind of the first foray into this world or whatever, but that doesn't make them exciting. I've always found the characters kind of silly, which I'm sure we'll get into. I've never been that interested in their story. But, they made the previous movies, and, I've watched them all. They're different degrees of not very good. But some of them were at least watchable, mildly entertaining. But going to this one, I was like, I don't need Fantastic Four. It's like, I wish we could just skip Fantastic Four and get into like X-Men and stuff. I don't need this. I didn't really want this movie, but it's, the MCU's got a relatively good track record. I mean, it used to be perfect, but, in recent years they've stumbled a few times. But I was at least interested to check it out, although I would not call myself excited for it. That's where I was.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was more of a casting decision to see where we were at. And granted, we got a great cast. I was
very disappointed in the cast, honestly. It's like Pedro. I thought, okay, Pedro, I could see he fits Reed, I suppose. Vanessa Kirby, I find to be very bland. I've never really loved her in anything. She's been fine in all the movies she's in. I've never disliked her, but she doesn't, do a whole lot for me. Joseph Quinn, who, I liked him obviously in Stranger Things. A lot of people noticed him first there, and I've seen some other things he's good in, but he wasn't like, he wasn't going to sell me on this movie. And then the Thing is just, it's a voice, so it kind of means nothing. But
Ebon Moss-Bachrach.
Yeah, but I mean, he's essentially just a voice, so it's not that big a deal who they cast in this role. And honestly, I feel like the voice didn't work for me, but that's nitpicky. So
yeah, see, for me, I'm fine with Vanessa Kirby. I mean, she doesn't really move the needle for me much either, because I guess for me, the most I've seen her in is like the Mission Impossibles and like Hobbs and Shaw, and she doesn't really do a lot in those. I mean, she does in Hobbs and Shaw, but the Mission Impossible she doesn't really do a lot for me to go, ooh, Vanessa Kirby. I love Joseph Quinn, obviously because of Stranger Things. And I think he was one of the best things in Gladiator 2 last year, which Gladiator 2 sucked, but he was great.
One of the few good things about Gladiator 2.
Yeah. So, and knowing that he was going to be playing Johnny Storm, I was like, that's fucking perfect casting. I'm excited about that. Ebon, I've been a fan of Ebon since he first popped up for me in The Punisher Netflix series, where he played, I'm blanking on the character name, but he was basically Punisher's guy in the chair. But I loved him in that, and of course he's phenomenal in The Bear. So I was glad that he was joining the MCU in on this. I would have preferred him more as something that wasn't like CGI the whole time and he's a voice, because I think he brings a great presence with his physical emotions through his body. That's one of the greatest things about The Bear, is he's such a great physical actor in his emotions. And then Pedro, I love Pedro, but like I remember when we announced him as Mr. Fantastic, I was going, okay, I think we're starting to cast Pedro too much. I feel like I'm getting, because we have like Mandalorian and The Last of Us, and now he's Mr. Fantastic. And even I was going, okay, this is going to be one of those things where we might be going a little too much with him. Not that he's not capable of doing Reed Richards, because Reed Richards is a very
it's just one of those things where people get overexposed. I mean, there's that stretch where like Dwayne Johnson was in like 8 movies in the course of 12 months or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and literally with Pedro, he's got this in Eddington, like literally within a week of you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And then we just saw him in Freaky Tales. We just in Gladiator 2 at the end of last year. So within the last 12 months, he's been in a ton of stuff too. So
he's in everything.
It's not a matter of we don't like him. It's a matter of, can we take a break from him?
Yeah, and them casting him in this was me going, ooh, I don't know if this was the right move. Not that he's, like I said, not capable of it, but I feel like, okay, I don't want people to start to turn on Pedro, because we all love Pedro, but this is one of those where I can see people start to maybe go, I'm sick and tired of Pedro Pascal, which people are already coming at him because of his nervous tick, or he's always got to be touching somebody. Like I've been seeing people come at him ever since the all the press tour stuff, because he's always touching Vanessa Kirby, and it's like, get fucking off of it. But I don't want this to all of a sudden become a anti-Pedro thing, because Pedro's just fucking great. So going into that cast, I was fine with people that cast it. The trailers then at that point, I don't think you and I either really enjoyed it, because it was this like futuristic, like
it's
60s.
the 60s retro future aesthetic kind of thing they got going on there.
Yeah,
it's like it's not the 60s, it's the present, but it's what in the 60s they thought the present was going to look like. Yeah,
exactly, because they're in Earth. Oh god, was it 828 or something like that? I can't remember.
Keep track of that shit.
It's one of the side Earths. Clearly, they're from the other multiverse. They're going to bleed in to the MCU's Earth, which I don't even remember what fucking Earth the MCU is now.
I think it's 616, but I don't know.
616. So we know that it's a multiversal movie, but not to the point where they're going to be jumping in and out of different multiverses, which, small spoiler, they don't technically in this. So it's not like they're going to show up in like, even though Thunderbolts ended with them like
I thought we'd get an explanation of how they ended up there, but we don't.
They don't. Maybe that happens in the new Avengers movie, Doomsday. Maybe that is how they get bled in, but there is no, from post-credit scenes to the beginning, there's no connective tissue to the end of Thunderbolts where they're shown crash landing into Earth. So if you're wanting an explanation for that, that's not going to happen in this movie. This is strictly a Earth 828 or whatever the fuck it is, Fantastic Four film. So going into it, what were your thoughts, Brian? Because I am interested in your thoughts. I know I have an inkling of your thoughts. You have no inkling of mine.
I have no
because you saw it a couple days before I did.
Yeah. I feel the movie, I think, ended up exactly like I thought it would. Honestly, it's a movie that it didn't do a whole lot for me. I didn't like the 60s aesthetic. I find it kind of, ugly and silly in ways, and it just didn't work for me. I didn't feel it was necessary. I think they did that because they had to find a way to make these characters who feel very, I know, unreal, I guess is a strange word. They put them in this kind of otherworldly place because everything is going to look so silly here. It's like Reed's stretching powers, for instance. I'm going to get this off since the beginning. I've been saying that Reed's stretching powers look stupid. There's no way to do these in live action. Like The Incredibles, fine. There's no way to do it in live action without it looking completely silly. And they knew that because you barely see him use his powers. The trailers basically never showed him, except one shot of him like reaching to try to swing. The trailers hid him using his powers at all. But then in the movie, there's like 2 or 3 scenes where he only uses it like to reach something or to swing. He never uses them for anything else except when he's being stretched out, obviously. Spoilers, but it doesn't affect anything.
You don't know the context, so you're fine.
He stretches. Oh no. But so I thought his powers looked kind of silly. They turned Sue, who her big thing was being the invisible girl, and then later on they turned it into she could also make force fields, and apparently she can do like basically telekinetic activity, things like that. They basically turned that into her main power. Invisibility is kind of an afterthought they use once in a while, like, oh, hide us, Sue. Okay, here you
That or kind of when she just really is angry and fucking wants to end the argument, she just disappears. Like that's kind of her other thing too. Is like fuck this, and then gone. It's like
which usually
Sue,
it's the guys that want to walk out on the arguments. That's strange.
exactly. It's like Sue, you're just because you're invisible. I know you're still standing here. You don't teleport. You're just fucking invisible. You're right here still.
Thing, I felt like I feel like Thing should be bigger, and he should have like a more of a booming kind of gravelly voice. You know, he sounds like kind of a wimpy guy to be the Thing. Evan seems like a good actor. Like I have not seen him in The Bear and these things you've seen him in, but I just I feel like he was a match. And Joseph Quinn, who I was most excited about because I did like him and thought he would fit the role very well. He was fine, but the character as written just didn't do much for me. And that's kind of my thing for the whole movie is it just didn't do a lot for me. I was largely kind of bored for big chunks of it. I just found it kind of uninteresting and bland. And part of that could just be the fact that I've never really cared about these characters. But I feel like the story never really picked up to where I got kind of really involved in it. I feel that Galactus, while the concept of Galactus and this, planet devouring villain seems like super intense, I think that he ends up being not much more menacing than most of the other, villains we've seen in the MCU. So overall, I can't say I'm disappointed because I had low expectations going in. It's a fine movie. It's just not for me.
Okay, so I am not on all points, but I agree with you mostly. The 60s aesthetic did not work for me. If anything, it makes me know that they can do a live action Jetsons movie. Because the first,
it feels more like a live action Jetsons movie, honestly.
The first fucking 15 minutes, I feel like I'm watching the Jetsons. And I don't mean this in like a good way. Like where it's like, oh, there's the robot. And we're doing all this. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if they want to make a Jetsons film, I'm all for it. Because they clearly can pull it off. I'm seeing the Jetsons right now. It's working. I don't know if I want this for Fantastic Four, but if they make a Jetsons movie, it's possible now. Good for you guys. We can do live action Jetsons, which will probably cast Pedro for. But here's my main problem with this. And I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. You probably won't, because it was kind of the same thing I had with Superman, but not nearly as bad. This movie feels like a sequel. It does not feel like the first film for a Fantastic Four film. I feel like this movie is the whole plot, the story elements of this movie feels very much like we've already seen these people before. This is the second film, because it feels like a bunch of second movie story elements of Sue getting pregnant. Now we got to deal with a baby and all these other aspects. And we're really not getting the time that we really should have with this new cast. And granted, everyone goes, do you just want to redo Fantastic? Kinda, yeah. It's a new cast. It's not. It's not.
But I feel like every time you get a new cast, you don't want to redo the origin story again and again and again, because it's like everyone's getting tired with that.
But go ahead. I also need to understand the relationship between Johnny and Ben and Sue and all of them, and just kind of get.
I feel like they gave us that relationship. Those relationships.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
You feel like this is a sequel and we should have had a first film. I feel like this is a prequel that we didn't need. I feel like they should have showed up in Doomsday. And
I feel like this
is Fantastic Four. We're jumping in. These are the characters. We don't need to learn their backstory because people in this universe don't know their backstory. It would have been better if they were here.
I feel like this movie was a sequel-esque movie, rushed to get it done so they can show up in Avengers Doomsday and people don't have to go, who the fuck are these people? I feel like they should have gotten two movies. One, not necessarily the origin. We could have gotten past the origin part, and it could have been year one of maybe them being accepted by everybody and really kind of figuring out who these characters are. Because I feel like Ben Grimm doesn't get utilized to his full potential. Johnny definitely doesn't get utilized to his first potential. He's basically
none of them do. Nobody's used their potential.
Exactly, much like a sequel. Because in a sequel, that's when everyone starts to kind of split off and they have their own little subplots and stuff like that. They don't get to have the team effort. And like
most of this movie isn't about them having superpowers. Most of this movie is about, hey, let's figure out with science how we can beat this guy.
Exactly. But then you also run into the story of Sue's pregnant. Now we have to deal with her and a baby. That is usually a sequel storyline, not a first fucking movie. Hey, we're getting introduced to these brand new characters to this new world. And oh, wait, now we got a whole baby subplot, which is not a subplot you throw in the first fucking film of a movie. You throw it into
because the
film or a
baby
third
is
film.
100% just we need to introduce this baby because this baby is going to be pivotal in the next two Avengers.
Exactly. And I feel like this franchise, or not the franchise, but I feel like Fantastic Four is undercutted because they have to I feel like they felt like they had to rush this one out because they didn't want to move Avengers Doomsday and everything further back. If anything, shoot 2 movies back to back and drop Fantastic Four, the first one this year, drop the next one, next year, and then like do something like that, because I really feel like this movie,
I'm glad they didn't, because that would mean I'd have to sit through 2 movies of Fantastic Four and the second one in this 60s retro future aesthetic, and I don't want to see any more of this.
But there was never a part in this movie that I gave a shit about these characters, and it's because we aren't given the time to really care about these characters. You care about Joseph Quinn because you like Joseph Quinn. You care about Pedro Pascal because you like Pedro Pascal. Fucking Ebon, poor Ebon, man. The dude gets 2 scenes maybe outside of the Thing, but then the Thing is, once again, they try to do this subplot with him with oh god, what's her name?
Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, Natasha Lyonne, which that threw me for a fucking loop because it's Natasha Lyonne.
Which also the voice of Howard the Duck's daughter in What If.
Yeah, that too. But I'm just like, we know this story because of past Fantastic Fours, but you're just throwing it out there to throw it out there. It's not giving its time. You relegate Johnny spending most of the movie trying to decipher a fucking language thing and then kind of flirting with Silver Surfer. And it's like, we're not getting Johnny to be Johnny in this. Like, he feels like, well, you guys already know how Johnny's like, so this is what he's doing in this movie. No, it don't feel like we're given the time to really enjoy these actors as these characters.
Well, I don't even know if more time would have done it for me, just because of the way they're put together here. Because you talk about enjoyment, that's the one thing I didn't enjoy this movie particularly much. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but it's like for all of their problems, the Fox versions, not the Josh Trank one, but
they were more fun.
I enjoyed them more. Even they have their flaws, starting with the rubber suit on Thing and many other things, but they have their problems. But I enjoyed those movies more, and I probably would rewatch those before I ever rewatch this one again.
But here's the thing, though. Those gave them time to develop these characters. We don't get that in this movie. That is the same problem. I know who Chris Evans' Johnny Storm is because we were given time with Chris Evans to be Johnny Storm. Joseph Quinn is not given that time. We know Michael Chiklis as the Thing because we are given time with Michael Chiklis as the Thing. Ebon does not get that. Jessica Alba and I never say Ion Gufford. I never say his name right.
Ioan Grufford.
They are all given that time to develop these characters into their own and having these interactions with each other. These 4 are thrown into this Galactus Silver Surfer storyline so fast, because basically it's almost the plot of the Rise of Silver Surfer. Pretty much, it's basically them redoing the second Fantastic Four movie. To a point, about 80% of it is just a redo of the Fantastic Four sequel from the early 2000s, that we don't get a lot of character story with these 4. We're rushed into this pregnancy storyline. We're rushed into the Galactus, which I'm sorry, Galactus should never have been a first movie boss, like bad guy. He should have been a sequel or a trilogy boss. I get we can't use Dr. Doom. I get it. I 1000% get it because he's being used for. But there are plenty of other Fantastic Four villains that you could have used for the first movie. Mole Man, just for instance, which to me just reminds me of The Incredibles. It just reminds me of The Incredibles. But we could have used other villains. Galactus is too big of a first movie baddie, unless he was going to win and destroy that Earth, and then that was what caused them to have to go to Earth 616 or MCU Earth. Then I was like, okay, but that's not what happens. So it feels like I don't feel like they really knew what the fuck they wanted to do, or they feel like, well, we just have to get this one out so that way they can be in the Avengers movie. And that's my problem with this movie. I don't hate the performances. I think everyone does fine.
I don't hate the performances.
I even liked how they did with Galactus. I thought this was the best Galactus they've done. so
Well, yeah, 'cause he
far.
wasn't a cloud.
Yeah, but I like that he was an actual character. He had a physical form. He had dialogue, and I liked all of the Galactus stuff. But like, I'm just watching, going, this really should not have been a first movie baddie. This should have been a second or third movie baddie. And then as I was watching, like, I'm about halfway through the film, and I'm like, I just don't care. And it's not the performances of everyone, it's the script. I don't think that we are given the time to really give Pedro, Joseph, Vanessa, and Iban the time that they deserve to really come into their own as these characters. And that's a script problem. And I feel like this whole movie is just rushing to get them through this so we can move on to Avengers Doomsday. And that's at their disarray. And that's I feel bad for them. But hey, we're just two people. Apparently, this is like a fucking like 87, 93% Rotten Tomato. Apparently, we're the only people who don't like this movie because everyone else seems to fucking be enjoying the hell out of this. But in terms of the movies this year, if you're going to tell me between Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Captain America Brave New World that the Thunderbolts was going to be the best movie this year, I'm like, nah, I'd like it, but no.
That's what I predicted, honestly.
But it's like no, like I expected Brave New World to be really way better than it was, and it wasn't. Thunderbolts is exactly what I expected it to be. But I also expected Fantastic Four to be better than what it was. And at the end of the day, I think visually, the stretch stuff, I've learned to accept it. I just don't think the stretch stuff looked that bad in this
because they barely used it.
I was halfway through the movie and I started to laugh because I'm like, Brian got his wish. They're not using the stretching barely at all.
Because they know.
He barely uses it in the beginning, and then he has to use it in the final battle. And I'm like, man, either Brian is 100% right and they know it doesn't look good, and so they're just doing everything they can to not use this power, or they just, once again, because of the plot that we're given for this film, they don't really get the opportunities to really fucking use their powers. I mean, Reed is relegated to basically just being the pilot of the Fantastic Four ship. He doesn't really have the opportunities to use his powers. Thing, outside of the final battle, he doesn't really get utilized in this movie. Torch, yes, he has points in this film where he's actually utilized. Sue and Johnny are really the only two that really get to utilize their power set throughout the whole film. Reed and Thing don't really get much to do other than just stand around and kind of look mopey and just kind of be seasoning. It's strictly a Vanessa and Johnny story, and not a good Johnny story. And then once you have the whole baby thing, it's just like, oh, we got to protect the baby. And it's like, so yeah, the movie didn't work for me. I didn't hate it, but it just felt like very rushed. And it's on the lower tier of the MCU for me. I still gave it 3 stars, which for other movies, 3 stars is like passable. But for an MCU, 3 stars is not good.
Oh, I gave it 3 stars, and I said in my review that it's one of my least favorite of the entire MCU. It's definitely bottom like 5. It might even be second from the bottom, only above Eternals for me.
It's definitely above Eternals, but it is like kind of right there in the middle of Captain Marvel and the Marvels, because we kid you not, we shit all over the Marvels, but there was one thing that the Marvels had. It was fun. Marvels was fun. Captain Marvel, not so much. So I have like the Marvels ahead of this because I at least enjoyed myself watching that movie. It's a fucking mess of a film, but I still had a fun time. This is not a mess. It's just utilized in all the wrong ways, and I don't enjoy it by any means. I like the people that are in the movie, but it doesn't make, just because you like people in the movie doesn't make it a good movie. And I kind of like Captain America Brave New World. I am open and excited to see Anthony Mackie continue as Captain America, but this was a bad movie. I'm excited to see where Pedro, Joseph, Vanessa, and Iban go with this, but I'm also not excited to see them pop up again. It's not an Eternal situation where I'm like, I don't fucking want to see these characters ever again.
Well, that's my thing. I understand they wanted to introduce them before they got to the Secret Wars. I feel like it would have been better to just have them show up, but they wanted to introduce them. I look at it as fine. They're introduced. Now we can use them in these other movies, but I'm probably not going to care about any of the future solo movies. I mean, I don't care about Fantastic Four. I think Captain America, when you're talking about Anthony Mackie, Fine if they want to make him the new Captain America, it's fine. I don't care. I don't want to see solo movies of him. But you want to put him in the Avengers movies? Fine, great.
I feel like everything is just rushing now to get to Doomsday and Secret Wars, because Feige says that the whole thing is getting reset, and then it goes into X-Men. So I feel like they're rushing everyone to the finish line here, and then as soon as Secret Wars ends, then it's a complete, like, not remake or anything, but it's a clean slate. And then either these characters, they're still too new, but like Thor and all them are either going to just kind of peter out and they're like, oh yeah, they're out there somewhere, we'll probably never see them again. And the Guardians and all that, and then it's going to be MCU's now X-Men universe with some Fantastic Four sprinkled in, and Spider-Man. And then, Iron Man and all these others that we've been watching for the past 17 years, they're going to be phased out, and we're going to be entering the
X-Men. Feige has said they will be recast. Things like Iron Man and stuff like Thor, stuff like that. So they will come back eventually. But I think I agree. I think it feels like they're rushing to just wrap this up so they can start their, they're going to reset everything. I'm totally okay with that. Judging by everything they've done since Endgame, I think they are overdue to finally just reset and start fresh. So I'm all for it.
But anyway, that's our non-spoiler. So went a little long, but I don't think we spoiled a single fucking thing, really.
Because I only have a couple of spoiler things to talk about. So
yeah, there's not really a whole lot to talk about because, once again, it wasn't necessarily that exciting.
Nothing happens. That's why.
Yeah. So if you guys have not watched it yet, feel free to go watch the movie and then come back and listen to the spoiler review. It's not going to be as long as our other spoiler reviews. But here's your 5-second spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I almost felt like this almost to me kind of felt like and I know you like the movie, and I fucking think it's one of the worst comic movies of all time. X-Men Wolverine's Origins. My biggest argument with Origins is that the opening credits, where they go through all the wars and everything, that should have been the fucking first hour of the movie, or that should have been like the first movie, and then like the last, like the first actual hour Origins, when he like goes all the way to the point where he becomes, Weapon X, should have been the actual last part of the movie. I feel like the whole like whatever the fucking talk show host guy is, where he's like, well, this is the 4th year of the Fantastic Four. Here, let's go through the whole movie. I feel like them like fighting these like bad guys and stuff, that should have been the fucking movie. Is them kind of becoming the team, and
I don't want to see him go through a bunch of C-list villains that nobody's heard of or cares about.
So
it's like I would rather they take everything we already know about the Fantastic Four, everything we've already been done in, like, the origins of them and prequels or previous versions. It's like, do what they did, is put it all kind of in this retrospective, so anybody who maybe not be familiar with it can catch up on the information, but the rest of us are like, okay, we don't have to watch this again.
But I still feel like these characters did not get time to develop. Outside of like, we know who these people are, and it's like, cool, but I don't know Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm. I don't know Ebon's the Thing. I know who the Thing is. I know who Johnny Storm is, but it's the same thing with Pattinson's Batman. Like, he's in year 1, but we didn't really get to see like our big argument. I know you hated the Batman, but it's like Pattinson's Bruce Wayne was a whiny emo bitch, because we don't really get much time with him as Bruce Wayne, and they're supposed to fix that in the second one. But we know who he is as Batman. We don't really know Joseph Quinn's Johnny. Like, we don't get that time with them to really, and that's really the biggest problem with me, is I don't care about these characters because I haven't given time to care about these characters outside of the actors. And I feel like that beginning stuff would have given us time to develop these characters and see who they are. I'm not saying completely get rid of this whole movie, but that whole beginning or that whole middle that you thought was boring as shit, that could have been the latter half of the movie. And the first half could have been that shit, and we could have actually like developed these characters to the point when we do get to the slow shit, either we take that crap out and we just get, Sue's pregnant, here comes Galactus, and fucking just have it boom, 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 entertaining throughout, instead of this, we're going to spend this whole situation where everyone loves the Fantastic Four. Now everyone hates the Fantastic Four because fuck that baby, that's why, which was the main plot of the whole second act, was the whole world going, fuck your child, kill it, and we'll be surviving. And then Sue just goes out there and goes, I love my baby. Okay,
Maybe she'll meet the baby. Oh, okay. Then we'll all die for him.
Don't worry about it, guys. We trust. Like, no, you can't be like, here's all these talk show people, everyone going, how selfish is the Fantastic Four? Well, Sue, just go out there and talk to him for 5 minutes. All's forgiven. No, like that's a bad writing tactic right there. It's like, no. And plus, it's only those like what 30, 50, 100 people in the outside the building. What about the whole rest of the world that probably is still fuck that baby, kill him, or give it to Galactus because the world's gonna go through. I had no problems with Silver Surfer. I thought she was fine. I know you're not a big fan of the actress.
You know, I don't love the actress. I thought the Silver Surfer in this movie was completely fine. Although, like you, I'm like, this is the exact same as the last time we saw Silver Surfer.
Yeah, because I'm about halfway through the movie, and I'm like,
he's a herald, but oh wait, no, he's going to help us out against him now. Yay!
Yeah, I was like, this is because I literally at one point, granted, I wasn't in a. Even though it did really good this weekend, my theater was not busy, but like I'm like halfway through the film, and I kind of pulled my phone out. I'm like, is this the same fucking plot of Rise? I'm like, no, she wasn't pregnant in that, was she? I couldn't remember if Alba was pregnant in the second movie because I thought that the whole second movie was about them getting married.
Yeah, the second one he was still he was all getting cold feet about getting married. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, so outside of just swapping out, getting married with baby. Pretty sure this is the same fucking plot with just not without the great Julie McMahon as Dr. Doom. So it's like they just.
And you also didn't have Johnny Storm turn into Super Skrull with all the powers of everybody. And
well, yeah, the power transfer thing. Yeah, they didn't have that, but I was like, I feel like this is just them trying to redo Silver Surfer or the Rise of Silver Surfer, but not nearly as entertaining as the OG one. But I mean, Herbie was fine. Oh yeah, they said I didn't have any problems with the movie. I think excuse me. I think them trying to escape Galactus in the middle, that whole chase sequence with Surfer, I thought that was shot very well. I like that they actually kind of put that was it like Johnny has the suit, but it's like you can only use it up to a certain point because then it made. But then again, at a certain point, he wastes so much at the very beginning to try to talk to Silver Surfer. It's like, dude, if you're you only have so much %. Like, and you're here trying to flirt and have a conversation.
Fire needs oxygen, and he can't fly into space without oxygen.
Yeah, so it's like, dude, utilize it better. Like, oh, I only got 10% left. Well, yeah, and you used it all having a conversation instead of using it when you need to fuck use it. But that's a very Johnny thing, so I bought into that. But I thought that whole like chase sequence was really well done, and I thought the Galactus battle, which once again felt like they couldn't figure out what size they wanted Galactus to be. Because
here's what I found Galactus. They make Galactus out to be this planet devouring being, and so it's this huge, galactic menace. But the problem is then when you see him, first of all, he's apparently just the size of a skyscraper in New York City.
Well, because that was the thing that bothered me. It's like he lands in New York Harbor, and he's towering over the Statue of Liberty, and half his body's in water, obviously. But then he gets on land, and then he's like next to the skyscrapers. I'm like, is he like smushed? Like, is he?
And his feet. He's got 2 feet walking down the street, so he can at least fit within one street between buildings.
Exactly. So I was like, did you guys not understand how big Galactus is?
Here's my thing: he's also, and they never indicated an indication that he's like changing his size. So this is just that's how big he is. So it's like in that case, he's not this planet devouring being. He has this basically big ship.
He has a Death Star
that drills basically through and destroys the planet. And maybe I don't know if he absorbed his essence or whatever it is, but he's not like this giant being who devours planets. He's just a guy who's driving a ship that's destroying planets.
At least he's not a fart cloud.
At least he's not a fart cloud.
Yeah, at least he's not a fart cloud. But I mean, that was the only thing that really bothered me about the third act battle was just like, I feel like you guys can't decide on how big Galactus really is, because if he's as big as you say, he shouldn't be able to walk down a New York street. Like that one, even in the trailer, I was like, when they showed that, I'm like, that don't look right, because as busy as it's not, a New York street is not the same size as like a fucking street in, Illinois or Louisiana. He should be knocking shit over, but I was just like, is he like, I'm afraid they're going to do a wide shot. And it's going to be looking like Peter Dinklage on like a Godzilla like track thing where he's just like, oh, he's actually, he's big by normal standards, but to everyone else, he's kind of just like a little person in a big suit. but it's just it looked off. I was like, does he have like a tiny stomach and small legs? Because I don't. How big is this skyscraper he's saying? Because there's that one skyscraper was like kind of like exactly the height of Galactus, and I'm just like, shouldn't Galactus be way fucking bigger than that?
Yeah, that was my thing. Is they just took this being that's supposed to be like this super villain, like you said, he should have been like the culmination of a bigger saga, and they used him as like this movie's one villain. Now, granted, they just kind of introduced him and then said he's sent away, he's not dead, so he's still out there looming. You can come back at any time.
They effectively did what Doctor Strange did to the minions, and where he was like, I threw you through a window and I changed the dial, and you can't come back. And it's like. Okay, like I get it. Like, what else are you gonna do with Galactus? You're not gonna kill him, but
Yeah.
I guess push him somewhere else.
Yeah, I guess that way you can still use him later, but he's out of the way for now. He's not a threat. But
yeah,
but yeah, he just seemed like a much more minor threat than we expected him to be. And the whole thing was basically just all we gotta do is push him into this portal, which again seems kind of anticlimactic. And you're like, eh.
And then you also have the whole world. We all need to build these things in 36 hours. I'm like, that would never happen. I'm sorry. There's no way. And then they all just get destroyed.
Yeah. I love in movies when they put all this time and effort into setting up this thing, and then it's like, oh, that's not even a factor. Never mind.
Like, nope, we should have just done this. You know how many billions and billions and billions of dollars you wasted when you could have just done this actual plan first, the first fucking time. And then it also was just kind of like, oh, we're just gonna do a bait and switch. Like, I'm gonna run up and switch the baby carriage, and he's not gonna notice. Like, did you? No.
And he immediately noticed. He's like, yeah, the baby's over there.
He looked down and goes, I don't see a baby here anymore. There's the baby. And it's like, and you guys are like, oh no, like you guys are.
You don't think that this thing has like some kind of? He clearly has technology. He has sensors. Oh, there's no life there. It's empty.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like the four smartest people in the world, and that was such a high school.
Yeah, the four smartest people, and their plan was, hey, look over there.
Yeah, it was. I laughed at that because this is so fucking stupid, and it shouldn't be a stupid mindset here. But then at the same time too, it was like when he goes to grab Franklin, Herbie didn't get destroyed, and I'm sorry, that baby would have fucking died when he grabs the fucking inside the building and picks him up and is like, oh yeah, the baby's just sitting no, all this.
See, I write that off to Galactus wants this kid alive, so he didn't crush, he grabbed him,
I know, but it's just one of those things where it's in the mindset of him putting his hand through the ceiling and everything would have fallen on the baby carriage even before his hand had gotten to him. The baby fucking would have been dead by that point. Yeah. But that's the other thing too is. Are we supposed to buy in that? Is Franklin supposed to be as big as Galactus? Because he's supposed to be able to absorb his hunger. Is the words that they was using in the movie.
Well, so Franklin in the comics, who I don't know a whole lot about him, but in the comics he is like a mega super.
He's an omega mutant. Is
he
what
can
they
basically
say.
He creates whole universes, and so I think that's how he's going to play into Doomsday and Secret Wars. Is somehow he's in control of things or something. I don't know. But he's supposed to be a super powerful being. Because
the way the lines were kind of being said, from what I was getting, is that Galactus wants Franklin because Franklin can basically kind of take over for Galactus. Yeah, and he can stop. It's like, so you're an addict and you're hoping that this kid will basically take over for your addiction and then you can stop being an addict. That's basically what you're saying here. Is this baby going to fucking become the size of you? Because I don't see how this whole baby's gonna fucking eat a planet, man. But okay, good for you, bro. But it was just like I said, it just didn't work for me. Like I said, the Silver Surfer aspect I thought worked fine for what it was. Even when they finally actually gave her a backstory, it's like, okay, so she's doing exactly what the Fantastic Four are doing. Just she did it her own way, and then that was okay, that was fine there. But yeah, literally, you spent.
But also the whole talk that talked her down and made her change sides, like, oh, she's never thought before about, oh no, there's other people's mothers and children.
Let me play you all the voicemails of everybody that was saying thank you to you, and then why did you betray us? And that's gonna basically flip everything over. But like I said, that was the thing that irked me, is that we literally wasted Johnny for over half this movie, basically listening to audio tapes. and trying to decipher languages. I'm like, I agree. We're not. Johnny's not supposed to be an idiot. He's supposed to be smart. But I'm like, is this really the best use for Johnny Storm in this movie? Is he's listening to audio tapes, trying to decipher a second language or whatever, however many languages. And then, like I said, the whole Ben Grimm aspect of the story is like they didn't really. He wants to be loved, but Natasha Lyonne, I guess, is who he has a crush on. But we aren't given that time. He's just. Plus, didn't he? Isn't she like above ground? Wasn't everyone supposed to be under the ground when he saw her at the end of the movie? Were they like just like saying "fuck that"? We're not going underground because right before God shows up, I think he goes and sees her with a bunch of people, and weren't they still above ground
I
during
thought that was
that?
before they evacuated. No,
No, they were already evacuating at that point.
oh,
They were
maybe.
already like going, "Welcome to." Which I actually enjoyed Paul Walter Hauser in his very very small part. But like, it also got to the point where I was like, I also forgot about him. Like in the beginning, I'm like, who the fuck is this?
He
I'm like,
felt
oh,
to me
wait,
like he was playing a villain in a Schumacher Batman movie. So he was playing it kind of cheesy and
he
over
was
the top.
playing the Underminer in fucking The Incredibles. That's exactly what he was playing.
Well,
But
because
he's like,
Incredibles was copying Fantastic Four, so yeah.
I know. But I mean, there's just one of those things where it's like when he shows up at the end of the movie, I'm like, I forgot about him in the beginning. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, why are we focusing on him? And I also was like, oh, that's right. Apparently, he only will work with Sue.
I was sure he was coming back later. I'm like, okay, and then I very quickly was sure that he's going to come back later in a helpful way because I'm like, oh, clearly that's why they cast him. And
so, what were your? Not that there's many thoughts. Because once again, it was a very quick scene. The post credit scene, I would say with Robert Downey Jr., but you don't fucking ever see him. It's probably some fucking
it's
stage.
probably not even him. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Post credit scenes, both not worth waiting around for. The end one with the cartoon, completely not worth waiting around for. That was just dumb. I felt cheated having sat through an extra 7 minutes of credits just to watch that. The first one with Doom, I kind of thought they might do something like that, and it kind of is setting up like, Doom's there, and clearly he's there for Franklin. But if you're going to bother having him there, either have him show up with the mask and you see him, or show Robert Downey Jr. face, however briefly. Yeah. If you just turn to the camera, but to have it the way they did, it was kind of like, it's teasing, but it wasn't an exciting tease. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
At least with Thanos, we got to see his face every time he popped up.
Yeah.
So at least we were like, that's Thanos, or I'll do it myself.
Now,
like,
if they had not announced that Robert Downey Jr. was Doom, and they show us that, and then in the movie's like, oh my God, it's Robert Downey Jr. But as it is, it's like everybody knows it's him. So either show him or have him with the mask on, or don't have that scene at all.
Could you imagine if we had gone through that whole time without knowing that it was Robert Downey Jr. and then that was the reveal that it was Robert? Oh my God, that would be the whole reason to go see the movie at that point. Is you have to go to the theater to see the end. Granted, it's on YouTube by now, but it's one of those things where it's like you will not believe this end credit scene. Like, this is insane. Like, that would have just, that would have been like, thank you for the needle drop. But of course, everyone fucking knew by that point.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's really anything else really worth talking about.
No, the only thought I had noted, but I didn't talk about yet, was just to say that Sarah Niles from Ted Lasso having a hell of a summer. Just in the past month, she's been in this, F1, and Heads of State.
Which I'm happy for. She was great in Ted Lasso, so more power to her being in everything that she be in. Which I would have been okay with seeing more of her in this, but her character just didn't.
Oh, she was she was definitely just a small supporting character. I just thought it was funny that she's in so many in such a short time.
But so sorry guys, there's not really a whole lot really more to talk about outside of what we talked about in the non-spoilers. So if you guys stuck around, I mean, you got to hear us talk about the final battle, but like I said, there wasn't much to go over from this. So we hope you guys enjoyed the non-spoiler and spoiler discussion for Fantastic Four: The First Steps. We both gave it 3 stars. We both were relatively unimpressed with it. If you guys have any comments, let us know below. What were your thoughts? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys kind of have the same mindset as us? Did you think, like me, we needed more time with these characters to actually develop, or these actors to develop these characters? Or were you like Brian, like they did that enough in past movies, fuck it, kind of thing? Let us know in the comments below. Coming up next, we have our end of the month reviews, where Brian and I will be going over all the other movies in July that came out that we saw that we did not do special reviews for, which not that many. We were both kind of collaborating, like, there really wasn't that many to talk about in July, was there? Outside of like Fantastic, Superman, and Jurassic World, we do have stuff to talk about. So tune in for that. The next biggie for is there another big one in August that we were going to come back for and do one together, or are we just
probably not a review? I don't imagine we do a joint review for anything. I mean, there's Naked Gun, there's Weapons, there's Nobody 2. There's not really a big film coming out.
I mean, unless those do something, I feel like if anything, Weapons or Naked Gun, if they completely blow us away, we're like, we got to shoot a review now. I don't see us really coming back and talking about anything in particular again till the end of August, which at that point you got the end of summer review from us, which will go over the final box office for the summer and everything. And then, of course, our reviews for end of August. So, I mean, unless Brian and I come up with something to talk about here in the next month just for shits and giggles, it'll probably be a little bit.
Maybe we'll figure out our next decades or something. We'll figure out something.
Yeah, we might do another decade stuff here. I mean, we have at least 6 or 7 like planned. So we might just be throwing that together just to give you guys some content. But yeah, we're now entering the back end of summer where it's kind of like not really a whole lot to talk about. And then of course you go into September, and September is even more fucking bare. September's always been the barest month of the year outside of January. But we will be back with anything that's worth talking about. We will talk about, or we might just do a Movie Crusaders chat about. We know Comic-Con is happening this weekend. I mean, there's been some things, but nothing really to the point where we're like, we need to sit down and talk about this kind of thing. So, but anyway, we'll be back here relatively soon with some new stuff for you. Especially, like I said, the end of month stuff, it will be out here later this week. But until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.